Well, in the preface to my book, The Fall of the FBI, I identify one crucial incident that I think encapsulates everything. Bob Mueller, Bob Mueller of special counsel fame, became the FBI director literally 3 or 4 days before the September 11th attacks, which happened on a Tuesday. September 11th was a Tuesday. The following Saturday, he'd only been director now a little more than a week. He was summoned to the presidential retreat in Camp David, Maryland, where President George W. Bush was hunkered down with his top national security advisors. And Bob Mueller came in, and he had with him in his hand the report of the FBI's investigation of the September 11th attacks, which the FBI codenamed Pent Bomb, for Pentagon, Pennsylvania bombing. And there were only 3.5 days really that elapsed between the attack on Tuesday, September 11th, and this Saturday morning, September 15th in Camp David. And he produced the report, and the report was just a marvelous report. The FBI had done what it does best: investigate. And they had identified all 19 hijackers. They had identified all their financing. They had identified all their travel, their rental cars, their credit cards, and all their connections and associations tracing back to Al-Qaeda, the base. And when he was done with that report, he has told us this numerous times, he was expecting praise and thanks. And George W. Bush just looked at him and said, "I don't care about that. I just want to know how you're going to prevent the next one." Later that morning, George Tenet, who at that time was the director of the CIA, presented a plan of action going forward. Bush said, "That's great." He turned and looked at Mueller and he said, "That's what I want to hear." Mueller left that meeting feeling humiliated, and he left it bound and determined to change the FBI's culture, and that's the word he used, culture, from that of a law enforcement agency to an intelligence agency. And that's what he did. And some of it might have been understandable at the time, but it had a lot of unintended consequences, and it had a lot of bad consequences.